Okay, guys. Today will be an awesome day because what we're going to do today will make accurate sense. So this one are like introduction into Node.js. So I just say like your fundamental steps right into Node.js, right? Of course, if you go through Node.js documentation, you go see wetin be the full meaning or wetin Node.js be. So first of all, make I just establish say Node.js no be framework, no be library, right? Node.js basically na just a runtime for JavaScript, right? And a JavaScript environment, right? Or a runtime environment so if you run JavaScript or execute JavaScript code. So the point now say Node.js, if installed on your system, it allow JavaScript to fit run anywhere, not just on the browser where JavaScript supposed to be run, right? So Node.js just allow JavaScript to fit run everywhere in your application. So there's this, you get this concept, right? So they try we make sense for JavaScript, right? So first of all, JavaScript now single threaded, meaning it can only execute one task at a time. Now by executing one task at a time, that one will lead to a problem, even though it is fast, right? Because person wey dey do, they say jack of all trade na master of none, right? So it makes sense say you master one thing. So person wey dey do one thing go dey faster than person wey dey do many things, right? So na the concept be that. So because Node.js dey do just one thing, single threaded, executing one task at a time, e dey super fast. However, that one come with a big problem. Why? Because e go create code blocking, in the sense that im gats wait make one task finish before im do another task. By so doing, code blocking dey happen. Let me give you, make I give una an example. So take for example say you go a restaurant, right? And the chef, the waiter come meet you, ask you wetin you wan eat, you tell am wetin you wan eat. The waiter come go meet the chef, right? Come tell the chef, but im gats wait until the food ready before im come serve you, then come go meet another person to ask for wetin that person wan eat. Now that thing na blocking, right? Wetin stop am from just asking, collect your order, give am to the chef, go back, go meet another person, right? Collect the order, give am to the chef, and so on and so forth, right? Now because of, so wetin stop am from going to meet the other person? Now that process na be blocking. Now in system, in coding as well, we fit experience that, right? So today wetin we wan treat na say, okay, how Node.js dey handle blocking code, right? The way they handle am na through callback, async await, and promises, right? So now the basic of Node.js na we want to do today. So enough of the theory, more go into coding. So if you start to code, right? So the first thing where you go do, right, the moment you create your file and want start, so the first thing where you go do na say you guys run npm init -y. So once you do this thing will create an environment where you fit get external dependencies and get some scripts. Now this thing, and then they call am package.json. So if I open am now, I go see this my script here. I'll see this stuff here. So under this script tag, I wan write a script where if I write here, e go just run my code, right? So I go say, okay, start, right? So inside this start, I go say, so I dey use TypeScript, right? So I'll say ts -node -dev -respan, then index.ts. I never create this index.ts, but I will create them. So now I don't save. So if I come here now, I'll create my index.ts. So inside them, I just do console log, so more just say started, right? So yeah, first off, make a clear here. Then I'll come here. If I do npm start, so once I do that, this script go run, right? So you say the script they run now, then you go run this. Now ma just tell you now, so before you do this, right, so this you have to install this thing, right? So that means that first of all, to use TypeScript, you guys first of all do npm I install TypeScript, right? But because you know how they do this every time, so it's very important say you install this globally, you install TypeScript globally, so that for every project you know they do npm install TypeScript, right? Then the next thing you need install, so everything I want type here now, it's you need to install globally. So you need to install this ts-node-dev. Then lastly, you need to install a types/node, right? So that install all the types, right? You get access to all the modules, right? Globally. So these three things, 1, 2, and 3, you need to install them globally, right? So it's I want to show you that. So make I just delete that. Okay, so make we start here. So more assume say this now your typical task. So make I just say start loading task 1, right? So if I do this, maybe 2, 3, 4, and 5. If I save this, you will see this thing will run synchronously, right? So that's so JavaScript they run single threaded and it's synchronous, right? So you run this task, you run this line first, because this line I go first enter the call stack, and for the call stack now first in first out. So this one I go first enter the call stack, so now I go first they executed, then it will come out. Now we see here, then the next, just like that, right? Now in order for us to sort of like prove code blocking exercise, so make I use maybe like the while loop. Might use a while loop. So if I come here and I say while true, right, make this action happen. So I feel just say okay, make I console log. So let's say waiting for a while. So most say this task they wait for a while, so you see this thing will run forever, but I need to stop this thing. So to stop them, we need to find a way to make this guy become false, right? Okay, good. So now make we write a function, then the function I go undo this. So now I just cut here to const let's say blocking code, right? Okay, good. So we get this, right? So I go say make here be x and here go take number, right? Then inside here make we do, okay, so make our first say const date, make date day equal, make us say date time. So make date time day equals to new date dot get time, right? So whatever this time is. Okay, so now Maka puts that while loop again. So what thing we really want now saying, as long as we'll say new date dot get time is maybe less than this our date time plus x, right? So plus this x value, then only then should this task stop. So make we say waiting for a while, then we'll come here and do something like so say maybe done waiting. So make I just save this, right? Now this function, make we call them here. So if we, because whenever I execute the function, right? So make I come here now, say okay, I want to make this thing wait for like, okay, so make I do something like x multiplied by 1000, right? Because 1000 milliseconds make 1 second, right? So if I come here now, I feel say okay, block encode and mask say 3, right? So that means I wait for 3 seconds. Now if I save this, we see this, right? You experience that blocking right here, right? make I increase this thing again to like maybe 6 seconds so that we go see and where. So I do 1 2 3, then here with the wait. And this is typically how when we they make network request or we they do some kind of function, right? Typically that's what would happen. So we know go wait make this tax record. This tax now lightweight tax, right? This is a synchronous tax, right? So it no make sense say we they wait for this tax to complete before this one go be executed, right? It no make sense at all. So the way Node.js they handle this kind of function, I say okay, I'm gonna make this one be asynchronous, right? So that so that instead of to the wait, right, this task can be executed. Then whenever this task they finished, then it go run. So make we write another function where fit and do that, right? So simply, so if you say const let's say unblock code, right? So again, I go put this x here. So more say x will be number. So you get these three function wey Node.js give us for free, which is set timeout, set interval, and set immediate. But we will use the set timeout for now. Why? Because because of wetin we want to, right? So we want at the end of this time then execute this function, right? So make I put this again. In fact, might just copy these two, put them here, but of course you know say I don't need this, right? So we go use the set timeout. So we'll use the set timeout, right? And the set timeout takes in two arguments. The first argument is a callback, and the second argument is the time, right? So for me here, I go say x multiplied by 1000 again. So inside here now, right, now we want put a function we go run. So the function we go run and be this function, right? So done waiting, right? So make I save this. Now, instead of us using this one, right, this blocking code, more use you experience waiting happen here, right? Make I go increase this some more. So you experience waiting happen here, right? So now if I put this, more see waiting go happen. If I save here, you see say all these run, right? But we still dey wait for this guy. Boom, done waiting. Now this thing is non-blocking code, and typically na like this Node.js dey work, right? So it will convert heavy duty code into non-blocking code, right? So that we no need to dey wait for this to execute this, right? So make I save this again, more Siam, right? So we see this one, all these tasks run, then this heavy code, right, will come be executed last. Makes sense, right? So regardless of where we put them, right? So wetin we just show now here now, synchronous code, then we convert synchronous code into async code. And of course, the way they like write this, I like to clean things up. So to clean things up, we just say this, then inside there, what we call clear timeout, and so that go be equals to this timer. So very important, right? If you write any code, make sure say you clean the code, right? So that's good. Now what we just do now, like this. So the next thing we'll go move into now say okay, make we see how Node.js they undo this synchronous code. Remember say we get this async await, we get this set timeout, set interval, and set immediate for free, right? And we can easily use them, convert our blocking code into non-blocking code, make acute sense. And the three-way Node.js undo that, like I said now, through call backs, promises, and async. I just do slash await, right? So now the three-way Node.js they use undo them. So make we start with callback, right? So I'll explain what callback is and so on and so forth. So I will just do Control A and just comment on this and make we start from here. So now we want start with callback. So majorly, what's a callback? Wetin be callback, right? Callback now actually a function will return a function. That's it, right? So a function will get an argument of function. That's just it. So if I say okay, const main, right, and I do this, so so this is equals to, right, and I do this, so usually would they do cb, right? So like so they call back, right? So we do something like this. So waiting this thing mean I say okay, inside there would they call cb, right? Now once we do this, so make I just, of course, na TypeScript to the right, so I fit just pass any here for now, right? So if I save, will you get anything? But majorly, waiting we just write now and be called back, right? So a function will return that function, right? Or a function will pass an argument, and that argument now still function, right? So now if I want to call this guy, so I go say main, we'll do something like this, right? So now if I come here, I feel say console log I am code, right? So if I save now, we'll see this I am code. So if you observe clearly, remember say this function here with a column back here, that's a callback. I mean, very simple and very simple. Now by default, callback in itself no be async. So callback in itself now still synchronous code. And to prove that, so if I say I am called, make I come here and say name, then here make I say console log, make I say let name be equals to what we say get to dev, right? So make I say, I sure I never declared name before, but okay, for some reason this guy they show me red, so now it's I want to try look at, okay, TypeScript as usual. So now if I save here, this guy crash, right? Why? Because I the access name right before initializing it, right? So that tells you that by default this guy, right, no be callback, no be synchronous. But remember say for here we convert a blocking code into non-blocking code by using this set timeout. So make I just copy, in fact manual copy. So if I come here, I remove this return and I come here, I say set timeout, right? And I just pass maybe the time to be like 0, right? Make them this so insignificant, right? Then inside there I return back the cb. So I call back this cb. So you can see this guy no shout, right? I mean, you can say our code no crash, right? Now because we don't convert this guy into non-blocking code, right, even though we declare the name before we use them, right, so here go enter the call stack first, right, before here enter, because once in say I'm saying now async await call on our heavy code, right? So it will push this code into the web API, right? So the web API go undo and resolve. Then by the time in they come to the call stack, this guy already entered the call stack, then you go see this name, right? So that is it, right? Make acute sense. Yeah. Okay. So at least wait till just do now to prove say call stack, right? I mean the callback by default no be promise, I mean no be synchronous, right, in nature. I mean no they asynchronous in nature, it is synchronous in nature, right? So now it will just prove. Now if I take this guy and I put them up here. So for some reason, I don't know why this name they show this red barrow. Cannot declare block variable name, blah blah blah. Name also has been declared to blah blah blah. I know why. So okay, if you no agree, so I feel say name X, right? So just change that, right? So okay, and that's fine. Make I pull this guy down back, right? So we don't get any issues still, right? Okay, so majorly that's that for callback, right? And there are so many things we can do with callback. So make I just show now. Now by default, when we use a callback, so one of the cool thing we callback give us now, say if it allow us work more like so if a task they finish, right, so we fit reuse them. So what I mean I say, if we come here, right, I feel do okay, but then no go work for callback. And okay, we'll just go to promise, right? And as we move on in this class, we will do a lot of stuff here, right? So and so for promise, so promise is a class, right? It's a class, utility class, right, in Node.js that allows us to undo async await. So in promise, two things is likely to happen. Just like if your father promised to buy you a car, two things is likely to happen. Either in buy the car or in no buy the car. That's one of the two, right? The same thing here. If your papa promised you biscuits, either in buy am for you or in no buy am for you. Those are the two outcome, the two possible outcome if you come out from that promise, right? So the same thing with our code here. So if I say let's promise be equals to, so we use the new keyword, right? So new promise, right? And inside this promise, we go do something like this. So it takes a callback, right? Then inside here, remember, this promise is built off callback, right? So now it's make us the handle them now. So two things is bound to happen. So either it resolve them or in rejects the promises, right? Then now inside there, so if you can say okay, if you resolve the promise, right, or if you reject the promise, wetin go happen, right? So I will say if true, right, then make a return resolve, right? Now inside this resolve, I will pass anything. Someone say promise kept or so. Someone say promise kept, right? Else, of course, make a return reject, and that reject we will say promise deny, right? Promise denied. I think denied will be fine. So promise denied. Now, most importantly, after we don't write the promise, how if you use the promise? So we will say promise dot, right? So promise gets this dot, then very powerful method. Then inside there, if you do something like this, comma, and put another callback. So for here, make I pass res here. So for here, we'll say console log res. And this same thing what I do here, make I do here. So this, make I just change answer. So I say res x, so that we'll not say then they're different. So res x. So now if we save, we will see promise kept. Why? Because this promise was resolved. But if I pass false here, we'll see promise deny. Makes sense, right? So remember, in this promise, only two things now will happen. Either the promise is resolved or the promise is rejected. Either of those two, right? Now, so on in reality, when you dey write promise, of course you no go write am like this, right? So you go wan write am in such a way where we say you will put something, maybe like a condition or something. So make I come here and I say, okay, I say let x be equals to 2. So here we will say number, right? So inside here I will say if x is less than 0, right? Is x less than 0? So if we save, we see promise denied. Why? Because x is 2, 2 is not less than 0. But if we say x greater than 0, right? So if we save, we see promise kept. Why? Because 2 is greater than 0. Make acute sense. Now, in most reality, you know what put promise kept, promise not kept, right? So you go on pass a variable. So I feel say, okay, let's user make this user be, so make this user be an object. So this object will contain, let's say, name to be say get to dev, then say score to be like 80. Oops, score to be like 80. So inside here we'll say name to be string and score to be number. Okay, so we save that. Now if this promise is resolved, pass user, then why for here if you say, okay, let error be equals to almost say status 404, then error message to be error. Okay, so then why here make it be error? Of course we will still do almost say status to be number and error message to be a string. Okay, so we save this, right? So now we see, because it is being resolved, right? We see this, right? So yeah, that's majorly how we can use it. So now promise also come with another a better way of doing this rather than we using this method here. So I will remove this. So remember we used the then, here we can do catch, right? So this catch go always throw error. So I will say, okay, console log error, right? So if in the process of handling this promise error happen, right? So there go catch them up. So make I come here, do less than again. So you say it catch this our error. Then we have the last one, which is finally. So finally would run no matter what, whether the promise was fulfilled or the promise was not, whether the promise was rejected or resolved, right? Finally go always run. So so make I just say completed. Yeah, so I'll do something like that. So if we save, we'll always see completed. If I come here, right, do this, so I did say, okay, maybe the promise they resolved, right, we'll still see completed, right? So finally would always run at the end of executing the outcome, right? So finally go run. Now so there are other things we can do, right? So make I just comment from here down to here. All right, so I can say, okay, let's promise be equals to promise. Now I need to use new, right? So I have to do dot resolve, right? So we'll just come here and say maybe promise is resolved, something like that, right? And of course we can still do let promise be equals to promise dot reject, right? So this promise is rejected, right? So then how do we use it? So we can still do our promise Is that what I did? So I so dots then, and we just pass console log rest. So if we save, we'll see, oh, sorry, my bad. So we need to prepare for error might likely happen, right? So and so let me just do the ELL and come here, console log ELL. So we save, so that's what's happening. So this is promise. Is this one running? Okay, so make I do the so mass see within the shout. Okay, so promise is resolved with the CM here. So this one be the problem, right? Okay, good, right? So we see promise is resolved, which is this. And of course, like I know we don't really need that line, right? So promise is resolved. So for this other side, that one will be catch, right? So make I just duplicate here, then come here, do the ELLP, right? So we get that one. So make I comment this as well as comment here. So if we run them, rather than this one will be catch, right? So if we save, okay, so for reject now catch we go use, but for resolve, which is this, which is this, right? So promise kept, promise denied. So we can directly just use this like that, right? Rather than using the new promise or using the class, right? So we can just directly use the method inside promise, right? Make acute sense. Okay, and so there are other things we can do, sort of like so make I write just a simple function or a simple promise where if we catch if it allow a response call, right? We could take a period of time to carry out, right? So make we do that now. Okay, so let's write the function now. The first thing first is, because I don't need this anymore, so let me just comment this as well as comment this too. Okay, good. So the next thing we would do now, so let me say const main, right? So just and do this. Good. Okay, so like I said, we just want to do an a network request, right? Something like that, right? So make I say return new promise. So we'll take this resolve, right? So inside here now, I will do set timeout, right? So remember I said the set timeout will take time as well. So for the sake of this, must say x multiplied by 1000 again. So x will go past x here, so make x a number. And of course, this should be a promise of a string or something. So more just do sure. Okay, so as usual, because I want clean, so I should just say let's timer be equals to this, right? Then inside there we will return resolve, right? So I'm gonna say return this resolve. Then we'll say server request done, something like that. So server request maybe achieved. Okay, so the server request achieved, right? So save that. Then of course I will want to my clear timeout and then pass this timer. Okay, so now we don't do this, right? by default I go dey clean anyways. So now we don't do this, make I save this, and if we come here now and I say main, right? So this main map put 3 here, dot then remember say we will pass rest, right? And come here and make we just console log rest. So if I save this, it will take 3 seconds, right, for us to achieve this server request done. Now the beauty about promise is that we can use this as often as possible. So more take for example, say we won't get like 4 functions, so they reuse this function, so 4 network call or 5 network call, right? So promise allows us to undo all of them together. So make I say more say const many call. So we go say promise dot all, right? So and this one will be an array. So if you say main maybe 4 comma main maybe 7 comma main maybe 1, right? I can add more, right? So all the network request calls, so we just put all of them together. So now to use this, so if you call this guy dot then, so whatever the result will be, so I'm supposed to get an array of all these results, right? So mass save now. So the time for procession or the time to finish this whole thing will be at 7 seconds, right? So you see this thing now, right? So finish this, and I feel say it go make sense. Say make I come here pass maybe like x here, so must see so the point now say I won't get this value inside here. Okay, so my bad. So waiting I go do now to remove this so that I'll use back tick. Alright, so put this request, let's say in this x. Okay, so save that. So if we save that, after 7 seconds we're supposed to see our results. Yeah, so Sarah was gotten 471. Now it look like say this one run last, but that's not true. Why? Because if I come here and I say raise, right? So raise will give us the first one we the moment they achieve the first, right? So it stop terminates other function, right? So that tells you that this one I run first. So if I do another, so I say main, right? So I say 0.5 to save. Of course, you know, say that 0.5 and go run and go come out first, right? So that's it. Okay, so having done that, so the next thing I would like to show now how if you use this guy like use it recursively, in the sense say a task finish we call them again, a task finish we call them again, a task finish we call them again. So just something like that, right? So more like this function will get here but in a more organized way. So the way we will do that, we'll say main, right? So we'll say this, right, dot then. So inside here, so make I call rest. So I fit return rest, right? So if I return rest, what's in this one implies to say if I come here and I say dot then, right, and I come here now, just make I finish it. So if I come here and I do console log rest, right, so whatever is the outcome of here at the pass and enter here, right? So maybe this, so wait I go see here now the outcome of here, which is server request into, right? So if I save this now, after 2 seconds we'll see server request in 2 seconds, right? So And this is super cool, right? Because we can use this thing over and over again, right? So for example, let me say I want to get out this 2, right? So I'm gonna come here and I say let var be equals to mostly res dots, because I know saying a string be that, right? So I'm gonna say res dot split, and with that split I dey split with in. So I'll get 2 value, right? Then make I come here, take 1. So instead of that, I'll do this, right? So let this be this, my result here will be a string, right? So I'll save this. So or better still, I'll just pass any here, because oops, I'll pass any here. So if I save this, at the end of this operation, at the C2, I don't see this exclamation coming. Okay, so make I do another split, and I want split by maybe empty space, right? Then take 0, right? So if I save now, only 2 now I won't see now. Oops, I didn't see anything. Amazing. So make I see it in this result. Okay, so that means 1. Okay, good. So we get these 2, but remember I said these 2 no be number, right? So it's how we just do now. I have to come here and say pass int, right? So now this var here, so this is where it gets interesting. So if you say main, right? So maybe var, then I say var plus 2. So that automatically makes this 4, right? So we'll say return. So I feel call another dot then, right? So make we say res here, then I'm a console log res. So save this. So we'll see what's going to happen here. Okay, so we wait and you see 4 acute sense, right? So if we take a function, work on them, pass them down, take a function, work on them, pass them down, and so on and so forth, right? So this is super amazing. So with this knowledge now, we'll just use and solve one problem before we close here. So if I come here and I say const, so before I move on, make I just comment here so that we know they get here running. So if I come here and I say, not say user auth, would it equals to this, right? So make I just say return, or first of all, before I say return that, I'll do let's say let's email or massive name be equals to, or say get to dev, that's name, and I just say my password be the same thing. Awesome. Okay, so here now I think I say okay, new promise, right? So inside here, so if we say if, remember I say we'll do something like if true, the resolve, let it return resolve, Abby. Yeah, so make you return resolve, else, right, make you return the reject, right? So we'll say, yeah, we'll say maybe something like credential error, or credential denial, or credential whatever. So why for year, maybe I feel just okay, make it pass name, so something like that, right? So if true, but we need to put up that condition. So if you say okay, oops, so if you say okay, if name is strictly equals to, let's say get to dev, like I just copy this, then and password they equals to this get to dev, then make it the resolve, else make it the false, right? Makes sense. Then so more concept for here, more say okay, login user. So there now user alt, then here now login user. So make here take x, right? So x here should be maybe a string or anything. So for now I'll just leave and may just take x, right? So inside there if you can say okay, make this return promise dot resolve. Yeah, then for here make we just do something like welcome back this x, right? So massive is, and for here I'll just pass any so that this guy will go shout. Okay, so now let's use this. So we go say alt user alt, right? So if I do user alt dot then now I go expect a resolve here. If there's an error, we catch whatever that error would be, right? So we'll say console log error. So make I see, yeah. So we catch whatever that error will be, right? So if we come here, so make I do console log rest here. So more run here. So if I run here, we'll see get to dev, right? That is the resolve for year, right? But what if I do 1 year and I save, we'll see credential error. If we do this, we see get to dev. So that's good, right? So for year, I will now do another dot then. Now to do that dot then, so make I call rest here. To do that, I need to, oops, come back. Right? So to do that, I need to remove here. So most say okay with a return whatever that result is, so that we will pass them inside here. Therefore here we will do login user and passing rest, right? So inside there, of course, I'll need to do this return. Then here I'll do dot then again, so that if you can say console log maybe rest, so more pass rest again. So I like to use this rest because that stands for response. So if we save this now, so we'll see welcome back. Remember saying this code will only run, this side will only run if there's no error. So if there's error at this level, here go just jump to here. So any part where you see error, you go just jump to here, and that's why for here we just use resolve. So if I come here now and remove this, we save this, we will see this error, right? If I come here and I do this, right, then we'll see welcome back get to dev, right? So on a literal term like this, we go use this. Now async await is super simple, right? So to use async await, all I need to do is, which is last, so make I just comment here, then so if you say okay const, make I say main, right? So once I do this async, so wetin this implies now say this function now don't be an async function. I put x here, so this function don't be an async function, right? So if you can say let x, right, be equals to, remember say, so if you do await, then think that's alt user, right? Alt user. Now if I should make I just one first. So if I console log x, right, then I call this function so that you will see, right? So make I do so call that function. You see this get to dev, right? Right, so makes sense, right? So another thing we can do now, so for here now, I just do here now. So for here now, I feel just okay return return await, of course, log log user, then pass X inside here, right? So if we save, of course, we know they say anything, right? Because I'd already called this return. So, but then make I just do let y be equals to this, right? So that's I think now console log y here. So if we do that, we see this. Now, what if remove oh yeah, so if we save, so you see say I no prepare for the error, so what we go do, of course, now for me to just make I just on comment here, comment and back, then come here, we have to catch any error, right? So if we save, we see credential, so we catch the error. But in a case where everything goes well, so I'm gonna put this all back, right? So if we save, we say welcome back. Now, this is how we would use the async await. So you see, say yeah, just 4 lines of code, but for year we to still do say from year to year. So async await sort of like make our code be concise, neater, and easy to read, right? So that is it. Of course, on a literal term, I won't do this. So I would come here, then I'll say return. So for year, so if you say dot, then it's so that's console log. If you put time here, just call rest. So we see the same thing. So if you use the same dot then and catch, right? If you use the same thing, right? So super cool. This is how would use the three stuff that I told you guys about, which is callback, promise, and async await. Yes. So just stay tuned because we'll still look at other things inside Node.js. See you guys in the next class. Thank you.